Alright, what's going on everyone, and welcome to the series where we discuss ridiculously broken, degenerate decks in Magic's history that were so powerful they needed to be banned. And today we are talking about the Karn Lattice combo that frequently locked people out of the game entirely in 2019. So it starts with Mycosynth Lattice, an absolute powerhouse of a card. It's a 6-mana artifact that turns all permanents into artifacts. It also makes all cards not on the battlefield, spells, and permanents colorless. And finally, players may spend mana as though it were any color. Now, if you are new to Magic, or if you're just not a particularly competitive player, you may be wondering why this card is so powerful, and well, I lied. This card isn't an absolute powerhouse, it's unplayable garbage. The card released during Dark Steel, which was the second set in the Mirrodin block, which was a sci-fi themed artifact plane, and I guess the idea is it allowed you to play non-artifacts in your artifact deck, and they would be slightly improved if you drew a 6-mana do-nothing artifact. It also turned off colors, which was kind of relevant since 5th Dawn had a colors matter theme, I guess. So anyway, the card sucked. It was first released in 2004 and has existed in Modern since the format was created. And despite this, I'd like to show you every published deck list that used this card before 2019. This is 15 years of this card's legacy. Here it all is, and it's all Commander. This deck has never been played competitively. It's never been in a standard deck. It's never been in a modern deck. At least not a published competitive deck. It's not played anywhere. So why is it banned in Modern? Well, in 2019, we got War of the Spark, the epic conclusion to the Nuku-Bolas tries to become a super god plotline, and in the set was Karn, the Great Creator. It's a 4-mana planeswalker that says activated abilities of artifacts your opponents control can't be activated. Much like Mycosynth Lattice, this seems very situational. I mean, maybe it's a sideboard hate card against artifact combo decks or something, but there's a very important and noteworthy aspect of the Lattice, which is that it turns all permanents into artifacts, and that includes lands. So this means that Karn turns off the ability for the opponent to tap their lands for mana. They become artifacts, and technically tapping them for mana is an activated ability, so this combo completely locks the opponent out of generating mana, because bear in mind, Karn only turns off your opponent's ability to activate their artifacts, not yours. So what's interesting is this combo already sort of existed the very day that Lattice was printed, as Null Rod could do the same thing, and when Modern would be created later, it could also pair with Stony Silence. So why wasn't it a problem before? And there's a couple problems with these two cards. The first and most obvious is they turn off all artifacts, so they lock you out of mana just as well as your opponent. The other issue is that in order to play one of these combos, that means that you have to put Mycosynth Lattice in your deck, and as we've established, this card is terrible. You do not want this in your deck. Why? No. I don't care if it locks the opponent out of the game or shuts the game down entirely. You don't want to be playing this in your deck for any reason. And that's what made Karn so good. Not only did it still allow you to tap for mana when the opponent was locked out, but his -2 says you may reveal an artifact card you own from outside the game, your sideboard. You can reveal it from your sideboard, or choose a face-up artifact card you own in exile and put that card into your hand. Meaning you could play Mycosynth Lattice in your sideboard and grab it at will to lock the opponent out without making your main board clunky with a 6-mana card that doesn't really do anything, right? You got all the benefits of the Lattice lockdown without actually having to put the piece of crap in your deck. And Karn had other advantages as well. Since he was so efficient at grabbing things from your sideboard, you could fill it with singleton silver bullet cards that could shut down popular meta decks. Cards like Ensnaring Bridge, Trinisphere, Torpor Orb, Sorcerous Spyglass, Damping Sphere, Relic of Progenitus, maybe a Witchbane Orb. That's a lot of cards, but you just put one of each and then whatever you needed, you just grabbed with Karn. And this is where the term Karn board originates, since part of your game plan was to fill your sideboard with Karn targets. People started referring to them as Karn boards. Another noteworthy sideboard card was Liquid Metal Coating. This one was very popular. If you didn't have 6 mana for Lattice yet, because you did need to cast this still, by the way, you could use Karn to get this instead. It can turn a permanent into an artifact. So basically you can target a land and turn it off. So it's like a mini Lattice for one land, but it could also turn off planeswalkers or any threat that relied on an activated ability. It's basically a little stair step on your way to the total lockdown with Mycosynth Lattice. So the combo of Karn, Lattice, and Karn board was slotted into basically every colorless deck in the metagame, or just any deck that could generate 6 mana. So Tron decks, for example, were perfectly happy to have a lockdown combo in their sideboard, and this was true for both the mono green version, which used some green cards to make Tron more consistent, as well as the Eldrazi Tron variants. Amulet Titan decks also played it, having the ability to combo kill with Primeval Titan, and the lands were nice, but why not also play a lockdown combo as well? It was also played in the Oko decks for the very brief time that card was in Modern, in addition to some rogue decks that popped up like Red Prison. There have always been these sort of red Blood Moon lockdown type of decks, and these decks usually rely on a lot of these artifact shutdown cards in addition to some like Blood Moon effects and whatnot. So they just added Karn. They could get whatever lockdown piece, because that's what they were doing anyway, and once they hit 6 mana, they could just permanently lock you out of the game. So yeah, that seems like a lot of decks, right? Mono Green Tron, Eldrazi Tron, Amulet Titan, Oko, Red Prison. Lots of decks were playing it, and that was the problem. The deck was banned on January 13th, 2020, alongside Mox Opal and Oko, as it happens, and one of the reasons cited was the deck building cost of including the combo was just too low. That is to say that Karn is a colorless planeswalker that can go into literally any deck, point to any deck in existence, and they can play a colorless planeswalker technically. So basically any deck that could reliably and consistently generate 6 mana might as well play the combo, right? Now bear in mind, Modern is very fast, so aggro decks didn't play it. They couldn't reliably get to that point, but any ramp deck at all played Lattice Lock. I think it would have been different if Lattice Lock was its own dedicated deck, right? If there was just one deck that played this combo, that would have been one thing. But because so many decks that were already at the top of the metagame could just play it for free, basically, without compromising their core strategy, made it way more prevalent than it would have been otherwise. And this is a lesson we will learn a lot in this series. It's that colorless cards are dangerous. When a colorless card is powerful, it can easily be played in many decks. There are many artifacts on banned lists in many formats for this exact reason, so the fact that there was a completely colorless full lockdown combo that literally any deck could play, and it wasn't even that much of a sacrifice because all you had to do was play Karn in your main board, and then you could fill your sideboard with a bunch of silver bullet cards anyway. It was just too much. It was too much. It was too common than it should have been because it was a colorless combo. And so it had to go. And that's it for the Karn Lattice combo. If you like this video and want to see more like it, I have a playlist dedicated to these banned decks, and you can find a link to it in the description below. I hope this was interesting, and I will see you in the next one.